This is the 80s Show on iHeartRadio.
Let's go. Come on, let's go. Say ho. Say ho. Whoa. Ho. Whoa. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for hanging, being part of my radio family. Joining the conversation by tweeting me at ADSXE is where you can tweet me. At FunkFM is where you can tweet super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhouser. I've enjoyed the Twitter contributions to the show immensely recently. I mean, it's cool to know people are out there listening, interacting with the show. That's awesome. That's much appreciated. But I don't know. It really is an interesting one where it makes it feel like, I mean, I throw out the term radio family on a regular basis. And I don't take that word family lightly. When I was a kid looking to make my way in the world, I remember this one moment. Where I was hanging out. I even remember like what day it was. I was in this band and we were doing stuff and we were touring and we'd done a bunch of things. We were sort of vaguely established. We had like a little record deal. We had people that would show up to our shows to the tune of about 1,000 people when we played. And I had my first ever sort of like apartment away from home. That was right down the road from where we used to do all our recording and rehearsing, and sort of like 16, 17-year-old kid precociously moving out of home, joining a punk rock band, and taking on the world. And that was awesome. I mean, like as a child, that's something that you kind of dream of doing. You know, like, hey, you guys have fun in chemistry class. I'm going to be taking the next 3 days off to go rock. It was pretty cool. But it was something that I did really just kind of, well, I was kind of blown by the winds of fate, so to speak. I ended up doing what I was doing, not because it was part of some grand plan or grand design. I knew I wanted to do something with music. I'd known that ever since the 4th grade when I saw Motley Crue and wound up in my first mosh pit of my life watching Tommy Lee play drums upside down while fireworks went off and I saw girls taking their tops off. At that point, my young, developing brain went, hey, I think I want to do something with this whole music thing here at the moment. And so I just, kind of wound up in this band. And we were doing a whole bunch of stuff. I really sort of lucked out because the drummer in this band had been in a band called Madness, who at the time in England were kind of a big deal. Still are, but they were a big deal because I think next to the Beatles, they'd had the most number one records of any band ever in England. Not a bad accomplishment. And when you find yourself as the teenage singer of the drummer's new band, things move pretty quick for you. So it was a bit of a heady experience. And that was great and that was cool. And it was definitely a roller coaster, but it had nothing to do with my design for life. It was really awesome, but it wasn't part of some plan or scheme or anything. I was just kind of going where the wind blew me. But I do remember listening to the radio at one point and hearing the voice of the guy on the other end of things. And I remember the day, and I remember it was late in the afternoon. There was that warm, not painful, not sweat-inducing, not the type of sunshine that causes you to have parts of you stick to other parts of you. You know, that late afternoon warm sunshine that just, yeah, it's awesome. It's pleasant. It's great. There's really nothing bad I can say about it. That sunshine was coming through my window. I was alone in my apartment, late afternoon on the weekend, thinking, it's a beautiful night, summertime. I should probably be out doing something, hanging out with people. But I didn't want to go out. Didn't want to do anything. Kind of wanted to stay at home. But I needed some sort of company, some sort of companionship, just to not feel completely sad, pathetic, and alone, and like I was a bit of a social misfit because here I was, this kind of like teenage rock star that didn't feel like going out. And I remember the voice of the guy on the radio came on. And I can't remember exactly what it was he said. It was more the way he said it. He was just this comforting vibe. Guy called Christian, who was a Canadian snowboarder that for some reason wound up DJing in London. And I remember listening to that guy, and I remember going, that's what I want. That's just as much company as I want on this beautiful evening, where I really want to spend it with myself, but I could use the sense that there's other humans out there. And that was it. That guy's voice and the music he played and his show, that kept me company. And I had this moment where I was like, God, that's really what I want to do. That's what I want to be. I want to be that guy on the other end of the radio, keeping people company. And so, fast forward to years later, the band's over. I'm a 23-year-old with, it says on my resume, lead singer of a band. I don't even have a band, and I've got no applicable life skills whatsoever because I spent the years that most people spend going to college in a tour bus doing stupid stuff on stage. And I wound up in radio because of no applicable life skills. But I'll never forget that sense of keeping people company that I aspired to after that guy Christian kept me company on that summer night. And that sounds like the beginning of a wildly homoerotic novel, but it's not. It's just, I feel so fortunate to be in people's I feel so fortunate to be in people's lives this way, which is why I say thank you for making me a part of your life and making me a part of your community and being part of my radio family. And that's why your tweets mean so much. Tweet us at ADSXE, at FunkFM.
You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away.
If you like what you're hearing, tweet the show at ADSXE. AD on iHeartRadio.
I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Yeah, I do what I want, when I want, how I want. This is my United States of whatever. Picture me giving the damn, I say never. Yeah, I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Every day you're going and working, running that.
A very happy birthday to the homie Jacob, who is listening, tweeting along with the show. Jacob's awesome. Not only because he's a birthday boy that tweets along with the show, but also most of the people that listen to the iHeartRadio thing or catch up with the shows on Spreaker or some other form of podcast, most people either know me from one of the stations I'm on, one of the rock stations, or maybe the talk station, or, most people know me from somewhere else. But Jacob, I like because, well, he kind of found me independently on the iHeartRadio dial and has become, like people that tweet along with the show, I don't even call them sort of listeners. I would refer to you as contributors. So Jacob has become a regular contributor to the show. And thank you for the words of encouragement, Bradley Bull, who said, I gained better life skills on a tour bus than I ever could at college. College is overrated. Make your own career. You know what's interesting about college being overrated? I wouldn't necessarily say that college is overrated if you want to be something like a lawyer or a doctor. But if you're looking to do something in media, like, I don't know, man. Funkhouser, did you go to radio college?
I went to community college for like a semester, and they were still using like reel-to-reels and stuff. So I got a real job. So no.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly, like, I talk to kids, sometimes adults, who are spending outlandish amounts of money on a radio school or a broadcasting school. And look, I'm not discounting the information that one might pick up in a good broadcasting class. I don't know. I never attended one. But whenever I go, what are they teaching you exactly? It's some sort of like outdated, mind-numbingly useless BS being taught to them by somebody who in 1982 did classical stations in Buffalo, New York or something like that. It's really kind of a very tenuous link to anything that's actually going on in the world of radio today. And there are, I know it sounds like complete chaos here at all times, but there are certain fundamental rules of radio that are good to know. And that's all cool in terms of being able to entertain people. But when I hear about people paying absolute fortunes to go study radio or broadcasting at schools and having an experience like the one Funkhouser had, where it's just like, everything's digital and you guys are still using reel to reel. I'm going to go get me a real job. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you want to be a doctor, or if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a dentist, you can't just kind of look over a dentist's shoulder as they do root canals and go, okay, no, I'm going to try one. It just doesn't work that way. But if you do want to be in radio, and I'm not discounting college, because man, I would go to college. I would go to college just for the sake of learning. And I think, oh man, if there's one thing that bothers me the most about education, is that education is seen as a route to getting some sort of baller job. That's how people look at education. They look at an education and they look at the dollar signs that they can associate with their degree, or they look at the dollar signs they can associate with the profession it's going to let them have. If I have kids, I really want them to go to college, but not so they can get a baller job and start making money. I want my children, if I have children, to know that there's real joy in learning. There's real joy and happiness in expanding your mind. And that's too often overlooked. And college is too often seen as a stepping stone to a career. Now, obviously, there are fiscal responsibilities that come with going to college. And I don't know what kind of debt the average college student graduates with, but, you know, if you kind of are buying into the idea of the zeitgeist, college is becoming increasingly useless and not worth it, because you wind up with so much debt. You're never going to get out from underneath this mountain of student debt, and the jobs aren't waiting for you when you come out, so you might as well do something else. No, I understand, but there is joy in learning. There is joy in an education. There is joy in expanding the amount of knowledge you have and finding who you are in it. I know that sounds a little esoteric, but as a guy that never went to college, man, there is real joy in learning. Don't ever forget that. But in terms of going to college to become a radio DJ, dude, if anybody if anybody's looking to dip a toe into the murky waters of broadcasting the way Funkhouser and I have, and you're looking to take a college course, what I always tell anyone that's vaguely interested in it is, like, go to college, but study stuff that you're passionate about, you know, expand your mind, learn things, and get a degree in something useful, business, marketing, something that's going to help you find your way in this world. And then get an internship and learn from someone like me. Do whatever it takes to get your foot in the door, because ultimately you want to learn from the people that are up in the game doing this every single day, not someone that did it in 1982. And I think, barring being a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, where you have to get qualified before you go off and practice law or surgery, before you start removing people's intestines and things of that nature, barring that situation, yeah, go to college, expand your mind, learn stuff, enjoy that part of it, but get your feet wet with real world experience around people that are doing what you want to be doing the very second you can. I would say that is the most valuable thing about college, if you want to be a broadcaster, is that it allows you to get an unpaid internship where you can start getting people that are doing this every single day coffee, and you can just observe what's going on. And when somebody doesn't show up, you can be the person that they turn to and go like, all right, kid, you're up in the game. That would be the whole situation. And thank you so much to Bradley for patting me on the back for not going to college. I appreciate that. Bradley is also involved with this organization. And if you're just joining us, I'm kind of paying homage to the people that contribute to the show by tweeting along. Bradley's also involved with this organization, fantastic organization called the PTSD Foundation. And yesterday we were talking about the fact that people come back from serving our country, from serving in our military, from being willing to make the ultimate sacrifice, broken and scarred, not only on